Yo, what's up guys? Today we're going to be looking at 5 trail building hacks you can use while you're out there on the mountains swinging them tools. Tip number 1 is become a human tape measure. And what I mean by this is measure your stride length, measure your foot length, measure 2 feet, measure your feet width together, and measure your knee and hip height. With these basic measurements, you can estimate whether or not your trail is wide enough, and you can even estimate stuff like the ratio of the back slope. It's so useful to get the rough ratio of the back slope without ripping out a tape measure. Tip number 2 is look up, look back like it owes you money. Now, this one was drilled into me when I went building for I think 1 or 2 days at Kilimanjaro. There's a big crew and there's 2 guys leading the crew, making sure they dig where they're supposed to be digging. And the big thing that was drilled into us was look up and look back. Don't just look down where your tool is. Be sure to regularly look up at the trail where you're going and look back at the trail where you've been. And the fact is, you start to drift. If you don't regularly look up, look back, look at where your tape is, look at where your flags are, the trail starts to drift. Tip or hack number 3, try to develop a workflow. For me, I'm still trying to develop my own workflow. It's really helpful if you know that one guy goes ahead with the rake, the other comes through with the pickaxe and rips it all up, and the other guy follows behind with a shovel or a hoe, evening it out and just making it really nice. And then afterwards, all 4 guys go through and compact it. It's nice having a workflow, and it's something that I'm still trying to figure out, especially because now we're not going to be building in the forest anymore. We're moving just outside it for Project Raw. Eventually we'll get back into the forest, but things are gonna have to change now because rakes are useless outside of the forest. So tip number 4, bounce ideas off of each other. This is one of my favorite tips. The fact is, you can oftentimes fool yourself when you're out there digging. It might not look that steep, the corner might look plenty wide, but the fact is you might be messing up. Bounce it off of your buddy, bounce it off of your fellow trail builders. This just ensures that you mess up less, and ultimately it even leads to creativity. I do want to mention, guys, that these tips are not all mine, and I'm not taking credit for them. I'm passing them along. These tips are a culmination of books that I've read, trail building books, and experience from building at Kilimanjaro, and a couple of them are just from personal experience. One of them being bouncing ideas. It's the one that I have found to be the most helpful. Tip/hack number 5, use the conditions to your advantage. Work on the sections that are suited to your current conditions, guys. If you need to pack something, you might have to wait for the bit of rain. If you're trying to dig up some soil, in our case, we really try and wait for rain, because anywhere outside of the forest, if it hasn't rained in a while, it becomes rock solid and it's a lot of work. Perhaps for you, you have to wait for it to get dry because it's too muddy and boggy to do anything. So yeah, if you're building berms or you're building jumps, rollers, anything that needs to be hard packed, you're probably waiting for it to get dry. In our case, we wait for it to rain. Subscribe for weekly trail building videos, guys. Soon we're gonna get back to digging because this shoulder is getting better and I'm stoked. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Trail Chat, and I will see you all next week. Oh, my arm is so tired.